Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Chandler Stroud, and today we are featuring another Healing Heroine episode, which is a format where I will interview one of my heroes, my very own heroes, Karen Remley, but will do so alongside a female client of hers who she's helped heal and move through hardship. Today's episode features an incredible woman who, despite battling severe and crippling undiagnosed dizziness for over 9 years, has dedicated her life to helping others in need around the clock. You'll hear from her all the ways she tried to heal before finally meeting Karen and discovering the power of myofascial release, a practice that she says saved her life and has been keeping her in a healthy state, even in the midst of a physically and emotionally demanding job. Let me tell you a little bit more about Sam before we begin. Sam Pickard is the residential division director at Benhaven in Connecticut, where she has dedicated nearly 30 years to overseeing 9 24-hour residential programs for people with severe autism. Sam developed severe undiagnosed dizziness that left her unable to work for 9 months. After years of partial recovery through holistic approaches, she began working with MFR therapist Karen Remley in 2018. Karen's care and self-care techniques that she instilled in Sam have been life-changing in managing her symptoms and restoring her quality of life. You'll also hear from our very own hero and MFR expert Karen, who has supported Sam through her journey. You all know Karen and her work by now, but for new listeners out there, she's who I turn to for MFR, which is essentially a practice that works on the body's connective tissue, or fascia, to relieve tensions, improve mobility, reduce pain, and release stored emotions in our physical tissue. It's about restoring ease of movement by releasing restrictions in the fascia. As I always do, let me quickly share a bit more about Karen for those who haven't tuned in to our previous episodes together. Karen's journey began as a modern jazz dancer and instructor until a terrible motorcycle accident changed her life forever. She now helps others live pain-free existences while also educating on the benefits of MFR. She is both a licensed physical therapist assistant and licensed massage therapist. Ultimately, though, she became a student and expert instructor of the John F. Barnes MFR therapy, which she's now practiced for over 25 years. Today, we're going to see Karen's work come to life in a very real and powerful way, thanks to Sam's willingness to share and help those listeners who may also be struggling with physical pain. Welcome, ladies. I'm so happy that you are both here with us today, and I cannot thank you enough for your time and willingness to share your expertise and stories with our listeners.
Hi there. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Chandler. It's good to be back, and it's good to be back with Sam.
So great to see you again, Karen, and I love that you invited Sam here today. Sam, it's so fun to have you. And to show that we like to have fun here, I'm going to start with just a fun, light warm-up question for both of you. Before we get into the deep stuff, what's one small thing that brought you joy this week?
Go ahead, Sam.
My email got hacked at work, and a really bad email went out to thousands of people. And it was really strange because everyone in my work network are people who have, professional, filters and IT companies. They just sort of ignored it. But all of the people on the outside, people that I hadn't talked to in a long time who thought it might be suspicious. I got lots and lots of texts. So an old friend of mine who I really, really love saw the email, reached out to me. She lives in town and she said, you know what, we need to get together. And so we've been hiking together every Tuesday. So my unfortunate email situation led me to reconnect with an old friend. And we've been going for like 90-minute hikes on Tuesdays. And Tuesday we had a great hike together, and just something about walking next to somebody on a trail really is a very healing experience. You can share a lot of stuff when you're doing that. So it's really been just a highlight for me.
That's an amazing story. I totally agree. And I'm so sorry for the email snafu. That's just frustrating. And just like, Mercury is, I think, left retrograde, but I always think Ophira calls it retro shade. Yeah. We still have kind of a lingering experience for the few days after. So, I guess that stuff is to be expected. Karen, what about you?
So I don't really ever get to spend too much time with my older son, and he miraculously had time off from work, and I got to spend like a whole day with him, which was just so much fun, and just that brought me great joy. And I also have confirmed plans with my younger son and my two grandsons to go and do something really fun this weekend. So there's my happy place there.
That's amazing. Oh, I love all the family time coming up. That's great. That's great. I'm really happy for you. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that little glimpse into your week, ladies. I really appreciate it. And now I would love to just pivot and start with you, Sam, if you don't mind. Before we get into the specifics of the MFR work, can I ask for you to walk us through your story in your own words to the extent that you're comfortable sharing with us?
Sure. So August 8th of 2009, I was out still in direct support at the time, working with adults with autism. And I was out in the community with them. I had just run 5 miles on the treadmill, and we had driven down the street to get some lunch and went to let them out of the car and walk across the street to a nice little lunch shop. And I was hit with just dizziness that debilitated me. From that moment on, I ended up in the ED. And from that moment on, for over 9 months, I lived with severe dizziness that I couldn't work. I couldn't drive. I was basically crawling around. It was headaches as well, nausea. But the overwhelming feeling was that my head was floating in a bucket of water 24 hours a day. I would wake up, if I was sleeping, if I managed to sleep, I would wake up the same feeling. I went back to work sort of just powering through. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And within 9 months, I started back part-time and then figured out, like most people do, how to adapt to the pain, the uncomfortable feeling of being dizzy all the time, and went back to work, but was really perplexed by why nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. I searched high, searched low, was hospitalized in that first 9-month period of time. And to kind of jump ahead, I did do every possible rheumatologist, neurologist, 3 different ENT workups, every possible thing you could imagine, medications of all types, every kind of thing possible, until I finally realized I need to take a different route here, and I did go to, a naturopathic doctor and a chiropractor who practiced more holistic practices. And that kind of helped me. And I kind of stayed there for about 9 years until I met Karen.
And then it all changed from there, it sounds like. Before we get there, can you take us back to the version of yourself before you began this healing work with Karen? What was going on in your world back then, your mind? How did you feel? I mean, I think that head in a bucket of water is such a great analogy to try and bring it to life for listeners. I know you've also, while it has not been diagnosed as vertigo, I know you often call it vertigo so that people understand a little bit more what you're going through, but it truly is undiagnosed dizziness. And I'm just wondering, what was it like in your mind, in your life at that time when you felt so lost and not having any answers?
Yeah. Boy, I was working really, really hard at kind of trying to not keep asking that awful question, why me? That a lot of times when things like this happen, we feel like, what did I do to cause this? What did I do to deserve this? What would my life be if I wasn't dizzy every day? What other things could I be doing in my life that I can't because I fight it so much all day long that my days would be shorter, honestly, because I would go to work and maybe get a run in, because running actually at that time was something that would help me. Something about being in motion helped the dizziness not feel as bad. And then I would crash, and my days were pretty short because I was exhausted from the constant trying to keep correcting. It affected my eyesight severely, and no glasses or anything would help it. So it was a constant battle just to try to see straight. So I was sad a lot, honestly. I did not engage in social things the way that I do now, or that I did previous, to becoming dizzy. So I was withdrawn. I didn't do the things that I can do now.
Mm. What can you do now?
Everything. As long as I keep up with my self-care and keep going to see Karen. Yeah. I'm very active. I can do all the cases I want to do. I can concentrate. There's something about the feeling dizzy like that all the time that it's really hard to think. You can't, read a book or do major projects because you're just so distracted by the way that you feel. I joined a pain management therapy group back in the day because I didn't know what else to do before I met Karen. And the way they described their physical pain was very similar to the way that I described because I'm not sure that I would say what I have is necessarily painful, just unbearably uncomfortable and incredibly distracting. You can't sit and listen to music and not be thinking about, I wish this would go away.
I got to tell you, that sounds painful to me. I mean, living with that constant discomfort and distraction just when you're trying to seize a few minutes of peace is like has got to be your own personal hell. Honestly, I can't, it's awful. That's awful.
There were times when, I would make those ridiculous statements, like I would give my right arm to not have this feeling. It was so severe. Again, I would literally be crawling at times. I would give everything I had to, be responsible human being, like do my job and take care of my house and stuff, and my family, whoever I could. But there was nothing left for me after doing those basic things. I would just feel depleted all of the time, constantly. So
I can only imagine.
Like, what are you willing to give to feel better? And I would ask myself that a lot. And it was painful to sit in front of doctors and not really get the answer so much of the time.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be incredibly frustrating. I will share. I mean, I'm drawing on, I had vertigo back in December for all of 6 hours, and I could not get out of bed. I truly could not get my body to the bathroom to use. I mean, I was army crawling on one side, and I was terrified of that feeling. And I remember thinking, like, this is the actual scariest, worst thing. What is happening right now? And luckily I got to a doctor and they prescribed a motion sickness pill, and I was able to move around again the next day. But I cannot imagine having that feeling of like just fear and hopelessness for as long as you probably felt that way managing this dizziness. I mean, it was really awful. So I'm really impressed that you came through it, but that also you didn't give up in trying to find some way to resolve it, right? And I do want to get into the MFR in a second. My last question on this topic, though, is Was there a single moment that you can remember when you decided to make a change and shift your approach? Like, was it hitting the end of your rope? Was it something someone said to you? I mean, obviously, there must have been some impetus to have you pick up the phone and call Karen. Maybe it was earlier than that, but would love to hear from you what that moment felt like, if there was one.
Well, I don't want to sound too spiritual or poofy about this.
Impossible on this show.
But, and Karen and I have these conversations often, is that I think there's something that's always been inside me that has known that the Western medicine world isn't for me. I think that something about medications and the kinds of clinical interventions that we use commonly in our country, the way that I grew up, my family, and some of the way that, and I feel like the people around me, I mean, I work in a field where we heavily rely on the medical profession. So I am not criticizing it. Just something inside of me said, those things aren't going to work for me. And that's why I think they didn't work for me. And it was about me, instead of allowing everyone else, because, you're in an acute situation like that. People are really ready to tell you what you should do. And it's go to this kind of doctor and go to that kind of doctor and take this and do this. And there was something inside of me that was really screaming, your body has the ability to fix this. I knew that I could fix this. There was something about me that knew that all along. And it wasn't until that moment, of course, somebody had referred me to Karen, and we can talk about that. But until that moment when I had that conversation, my first conversation with her, in which she affirmed what I already knew. She confirmed that I had what it would take to fix what was wrong with me. So she's just the conduit.
I love that. And that's so Karen in all that she does. And I love hearing stories of how she's helped patients really feel empowered to heal themselves. So I love that that's the experience you had with her as well. What was different about working with Karen? Maybe what surprised you about MFR, or maybe even her approach to healing? I'd love to hear about those first impressions.
Well, I have to tell you, when I started with Karen, the only thing I mentioned before that was actually making me feel okay, the only place that I felt like the dizziness would go away is I live across the street from a state park, and I was running between 4 and 6 miles a day. Not like I never took a day off. I was just running like a mad woman because it made me feel better. Right. And that first conversation with Karen, I just couldn't wait. She was saying, yeah, she's listening to my story, and okay. And I said, you know what? I just got to get this out. I said, if you ask me to stop running, I'm not going to do that, because I figured she didn't want me to like stress my body in that way. And she goes, oh no, I want you to keep running. So what I loved about my conversation with her was that I knew that she would help me find what I needed to do for myself. And something that she said about just keep doing what you're doing, stay healthy, stay strong. I understand. She is the most embracing person that I have ever known. She's like ready to meet you exactly where you are. There's no judgment. I said, I think I'm going to pass out. And she goes, that's okay. I'll catch you.
Oh my God.
I'll catch you. And it's just so powerful. My life is not perfect, right? Like I still struggle with this, that, and the other thing, but there's so much of the time with this illness that I spent spinning my wheels, frantic, trying to find the answer. And she helped me understand right from that first conversation, I had the answer. I know what to do. My body that's the human body knows how to heal itself. And she's just very good at pointing out all the ways that we can tap into that.
Yes, she is. I totally agree. Was there a moment in a session with her that clicked for you and felt like a real turning point? It sounds like that first one was a little touch and go because it was the first MFR experience you had. But like, after that, or even during that session, defer to you. Like, was there a moment that you were like, oh my gosh, I'm getting better?
It definitely didn't happen on the table. If you go into Karen's room and you get treated, you will feel like $1,000,000. But for me, that was never the tell of if this was working. It was when I could just stay up past 9 o'clock and sitting on the couch with my husband, having a conversation and not be falling asleep because I'm so darn exhausted from fighting this all day long. It was doing normal things that all of a sudden were like, oh, I'm not watching this show or this concert like cross-eyed. It was the everyday things that happened to me that I suddenly realized, oh, this is working. And it happened extremely fast for me. So I've heard about people crying on her table or screaming out and something like that.
He loves those stories.
That did not happen.
They're like old folklore.
That did not happen to me. The sessions are peaceful and wonderful, but it happened very, very quickly. And she knows this. Like within a couple of treatments, I really was not cured, but so like remarkably better. And of course, I think the self-care really does matter. I'm not always perfectly disciplined, as she knows, at doing all that. Oh, Sam, what are you doing to do your stuff at home? But it was very fast for me. So, and that's why I don't stop, and I will recommend it to everybody because it works. It's worked so tremendously well for me. It's 7 years.
7 years. All with Karen.
Yes, all with Karen.
How often are you seeing her typically?
I try to go every week to 10 days.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense,
Yep.
just to manage
Yep.
symptoms and
Yep.
make sure you're doing all the things. All our heroes love giving homework sometimes. And Karen asks me too. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that. Oh, I'm so bad with that little red ball.
Oh, yeah. I get to day 9 and my body starts I start thinking about being on the table, and I know I need to go back. So.
Oh, I love that your body signals to you when it's time.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it does.
great. That's really cool. Karen, what did you notice about Sam early on that struck you or that you really wanted to focus on with her?
So I'm going to separate the question into 2 phases
Okay.
here. The things that first struck me about Sam was her frustration with all of the processes that she attempted to get help from and was just left kind of short or without an answer or nothing. There was no conclusion for her. She was just left with, here, take this pill, or here, try this. And those things were just, it fell short of helping her. And I understood that from my own experience. So for me, that carries value with what I do when I meet with my patients. And thank you, Sam, for feeling the non-judgment, because I don't care who you are or why you come to me. There's no judgment held. You're here for a reason. You're asking, you're seeking for help, and I will do the best I can. And if I can't do something for you, I'm going to tell you where else you might try to go. But the other part of this too is her willingness. So my focus, I saw that willingness that she had. She was just she wanted so bad to be well. And I knew what that felt like, just from my own pain and time of being in that situation. So I think there's an underlying compassion that makes that a little bit unique for myself. And the person that you are treating is there seeking your help. And I'm just here to assist you. Like, I am that conduit. I'm not going to say any promise to you that anything is going to change, because it's all up to your own willingness. And I knew if I told Sam, you have to stand on your head for 3 minutes every friggin' morning, every day, I don't care, she would have done it. And that's how I felt when I was in my worst of my condition. If any professional or person that had any idea of what I was going through told me to do, that's what I would have done. So I think I saw in her just that potential of being vulnerable and looking for someone to trust. and she can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't focus in on, oh my God, your head is crooked, or it's much deeper than that. And the interesting thing for me was, and Sam can confirm or deny, it wasn't maybe 3 sessions in. Yes, she was there for all of the stuff happening in her head, her neck, the tension in her upper body. Something kept drawing me to her diaphragm, her breath. There was something not jiving about the way she was breathing. And when I started to work on her diaphragm, her respiratory diaphragm, she was like, why did you go there? And then the tears came, and she says, I just feel like that's part of the epicenter. Like no one has looked there or touched there or even talked about that. And I didn't have an answer for her except that that's where I felt her body needed me to go. Because when you do the work that I do with the myofascial work with people's bodies, you can get a sense of where things are sometimes originating or where there's a connection to something else. And I think that's when Sam started to have a lot of shift in her recovery, because, okay, now there was a place in her body beside her head that was giving her relief. And then you take it layer by layer by layer.
Yeah.
Were there emotional components? Of course there are. Were there spiritual components where things get broken? Yes. And our healing journey, I just had a text conversation with a past patient who has contacted me. Our healing journey doesn't end. It keeps going. Like once we get well, we want to stay well. So we do things to continue to stay well. And that can mean any number of things for any different person. But for some people, it's coming on a basis when they know I need that boost again. I need someone else's hands, that exchange of energy to help me stay on track, or to remind me I need it for myself, just to remind me that I work and do very physical work all day long. I need someone to pay attention to my body too and remind me what Karen needs to do for herself.
I mean, amen to that. I still see all my heroes on a regular basis, and I've made so much progress. But I mean, I'm seeing one of them at 3:00 today, so
Right.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
No, it's important. What you're saying is really important. We all always say healing is a lifelong journey, and I like to describe it as like the more you do, it's to this next level of not pain-free, I would say, but shattering this glass ceiling to the next level of health and happiness. And you just kind of keep going and breaking that next ceiling every level the more you do. And it's such an adventure. It really is addicting after a while, in the best way possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I have learned this from the very beginning of my healing journey, stepping into it as a practitioner to assist other people. There's something John Barnes would say to us is, if you're going to walk into the room and know what you're going to do to that patient, then you don't know what you're doing. And that's why every single time I see you, Chandler, you, Sam, I do my quick assessment. I ask you certain questions. I watch how you're moving. I observe a lot of things. And I listen to what you're saying, because I listen to what's underneath what you're saying, because oftentimes what my clues are is in what you're really not saying.
I believe that. I believe that.
So this is why I love the fact that my work is a whole body approach. It's not, if I just looked and worked on Sam's head, she would have not gotten any better. I can tell you that.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Because that's all that had been done for her. And when she first said to me, I will not give up running, I knew right then and there, no, you shouldn't. No one should tell you to, because she knew that was the thing that was helping her. And I'm not going to take that away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nope. That was an important thing for her to keep, because it was the one thing that she had that was helping her to feel well at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great that you recognize that, Karen. I think it's so important. And it is all about listening to yourself, and everyone heals differently. And for Sam, it was clearly those runs, those daily runs. So I'm really glad that you felt kind of the conviction, Sam, to say, I'm not giving this up. And Karen, that you recognized that she wouldn't, nor should she, because it was helping her so much. So I love that story. And I think it really brings to life your work, Karen, and how you think about the whole person. We've obviously asked a lot of questions. Well, I have, of each of you. Karen, do you have any questions for Sam, having heard her story? And I don't know, there's got to be some things you're curious about.
Because I had to write this down because I knew that we were supposed to do this. But
I give my own assignments.
Right. I guess my question for Sam would be, do you feel that everything we have done has covered all the bases?
Well, there's still a lot of me to fix. That's an interesting question. And I've recently thought about that, and I've listened to your podcast, Chandler, and in some of the conversations about menopause, and that has hit me pretty hard. And one of the things I love about Karen is she really focuses on timing. Like, she'll say things like, okay, I know that's important, but this isn't the time. Like, be where you're at right now and take care of what's needed right now. And when it's the right time, we'll get there. And Karen knows my personal life, a lot about my personal life. You just spend an hour on the table with somebody, they hear all about you. But she knows a lot about, and I was about to finish a major project that took a couple of years for me to do. And I'm kind of still on the, okay, that's done break from that. But I think I'm ready to tackle, Karen, to answer your question, this menopausal nonsense. And I believe that you and I can work on this together and get me to a place where I feel great a lot of the time, but I'd like to feel better. I'd like to be that, a little bit back to that picture of health. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do next. Figure out how to deal, like, 'cause I do deal with the hot, the sweats and the extra pounds and all that. And I feel like some of that could be a little daunting. And some of the things that you've already helped me with, I do believe that the symptoms are not as bad as they would be if I hadn't been seeing you in general. But I'd like to take a deeper dive into that.
Yeah, for sure. And there are times when, we have to put certain things on pause so that we can get through the things that are right in front of us. Was there anything that I said or did that you found surprising or memorable? Because there's been so many things. Does anything stand out for you?
I think one of the most surprising things about this work, and this is a message for people listening, is it's subtle. And I've sent people to see you and they're like, oh, okay. I like your word willingness, because you have to be willing to allow your body to receive the work. And it's, for me, maybe for others it was, but this was not earth shattering in terms of what's happening on that table. It's like an investment. You go, you do the work on the table, you do your self-care, and there's a huge payoff. That's the earth shattering part. But the work itself is pretty subtle. And that really surprised me. I have told Karen this, I've told you this before, when I was recommended to see her by like a friend of a friend or a family friend or something, I forget what it was. And I called Karen. I did not know anything about myofascial release. I did not look it up. And I promised myself that I wouldn't until I figured out if it was working or not. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't Google it. I just came and I said I was ready to trust, as we talked about earlier. And I just trusted her. So I didn't even know what it was. She talked to me about the taffy thing. And I'm sure you talked about that before. But I okay, sure. And I just trusted and I let myself heal. So yeah, it was pretty surprising how subtle it was. And what's funny is I was kind of a person who would get massages and stuff in the past, and I never do that anymore because this feels way better to me than doing that. When I get off the table, I'm a new woman. And
so true. It's so relaxing. I totally agree.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Sam. And I know it, and I have said this in probably every other podcast that we've recorded. If you don't trust the practitioner you're working with, it's going to change how you come through your process. It's really important. And I tell anyone, if you need to see someone different, then you see someone different, but find someone you're comfortable with, because when you start working in a person's tissue, emotions do come up. Things come up that you really need a person you trust to just let it spill. And that's another part of the release, is the emotional releases that happen when the physical parts of you start to heal and get well.
Sam, is there one truth or mantra that's carried you through some of your hardest days?
I have to constantly remind myself of self-care, forgiveness, compassion for the self, because in the end, at the end of the day, you know what's right for you. And sometimes we get lost. So it's that my ability to be able to turn all the voices that are in my life down and really have the ability to listen to myself, because I say to myself all the time, you know what's right. I know what's right for me. I know what makes me feel good. We all do, but we get so lost and caught up in trying to serve. I'm a leader. That's what I do for a living. And I am a servant leader, and I get sometimes caught up in all of the things that I'm doing to make everyone else in my life feel better and feel happy. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm no good unless my cup is filled. I have to be the best version of myself in order to keep doing that, which does make me happy. I love serving. I love what I do. But I can't do it if I'm only part of me.
Yeah. No, well said. On that note, what would you say to someone who right now, if there's a listener who feels stuck, broken, or frustrated with their own journey to live pain-free, do you have a message for that person today?
Yeah, I think Karen was touching on it before, and I've said this really odd thing over the years of seeing Karen and trying to describe it, because people kind of start to cock their head and go, you're trying to describe what myofascial release is, and they've never heard of it, right? A lot of people have never heard of it. So I'll end up saying, you know what, in the end, you have to really open your heart and your mind to be willing to hold what will work for you. I will never criticize somebody for taking a medication or getting a kind of treatment or therapy if it's working for them. So much of the time, though, you hear things like, yeah, I've been going to physical therapy, but I'm not really getting better, or maybe it's a little bit worse, or I've been taking this medication, but it's causing all this other problems or something like that. I think you really have to figure out what works for you. Listen to your body. If it doesn't feel right, if you're not getting better, then it's probably not the right thing for you, and it's time to pick something different. You really have to keep trying to explore what works for you. And I've said this really goofy thing. For me, I'm not sure it would have mattered if Karen sat me in the room and made me stare at a purple wall. If it worked, I was willing to do it because it worked for me. So I think try something different. Don't be complacent and accept that you have to live in pain or in discomfort. I think you used the word earlier, Chandler, terror. You don't have to be terrified anymore. There's something that will be out there that will be able to help you find a path to healing.
I love that message. Thank you for sharing that with our listeners, Sam. Do you still have hard days? How often does the dizziness come back?
I do have hard days. It comes back. I sometimes know what causes that, and I engage in my self-care. a lot.
Mhm.
Big fan of all the things that Karen has taught me to do at home. Yesterday, I actually had a medical test. I had a little bit of a heart flutter a few weeks ago. And so they did an echocardiogram on me. And if you've ever gotten one of those, you have to lay in a position with your arm above your head and on your side. And it did something to kind of throw me off. It tweaked my neck or gave me aggravated something where there was some inflammation that I spent the rest of yesterday pretty dizzy. And when I got home, I got on my foam roller and did my exercises, did my self-care. So I do have hard days. It has not been perfect fix. I'm not like cured perfectly forever, but I know what to do, which is if you have the tools to feel better, that's so empowering. Then it changes the game. If you feel helpless, like you don't know what to do, it's depressing, frustrating, terrifying. If you know, okay, yeah, I'm dizzy. I was dizzy yesterday and I drove away and all I could think of is, boy, I can't wait to get home and get on that foam roller and fix it. And that's a miracle in my opinion. I'm in control. That's what it is. I'm in control of this.
You just so beautifully articulated the entire purpose of this show and why we all do what we do. We are not trying to make listeners reliant on these heroes or on any other kind of healer locally.
That's right.
It is entirely to provide them with the education and resources to choose for them what authentically feels right in their own journey and to empower them to take back their healing. So that they don't feel lost or like they aren't in control. And I just love, love, love that you said that. So thank you for sharing that sentiment here today.
Yes.
It really hits home. It really does.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
No, this has been great, both of you. Thank you so much for your time, for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for sharing your expertise and your stories. I'm so grateful to both of you. And I really hope, just to speaking to our listeners, I really hope that if you are experiencing the kind of pain that Sam once did, that you found comfort in knowing that you are not alone and that there are ways that you can approach this that may feel right to you if you're willing to keep going and not give up on yourself. So thank you for just being here and providing that kind of inspiration and hope today, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Karen, to you always, thank you for all you do. Sam and I know I speak for both of us. We are so grateful. And for me being on the show and helping to educate others as well as myself, thank you for your time.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure because this is what I'm meant to do. So
It is, Karen. Oh, it is so your calling. I feel it deep in my bones and my fascia.
Thank you for what you do, Chandler.
Yes. What'd you say, Sam?
I said thank you for what you do.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you, Sam. You guys make it fun. You really do. I love empowering women to take back control of their health and happiness. And this was just a really great addition to that toolkit for our listeners out there. So thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the show and share it with friends. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com for more resources to meet our heroes and share your ideas for future episodes. Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.